Hi guys, let's give everyone a second to come on. So excited! So excited! All right. So I'm gonna just start talking and hopefully you guys come online. So hi guys, in case you don't know me, I'm Claudia Sandoval. I'm the most recent winner of season 6 of MasterChef. And I am doing this today because I was actually inspired by Mr. Ledger over at the CEO of T-Mobile, who is of course doing this incredible partnership with MasterChef right now for T-Mobile Tuesdays. And one of the really cool things that they're doing is that they are actually partnering to give away a ton of awesome giveaways. And the CEO does these really cool slow cooker Sundays. And I had actually adapted a birria recipe, which is like a spicy stewed beef. With like some delicious chilies, and unfortunately Mr. Ledger actually had some trouble with those chilies and touching his eyes afterward, which by the way is a complete no-no. But I wanted to kind of take off after what he does and show you one of the most requested recipes for me, one, and two, something about I'm actually borrowing my cousin's cocina. This is actually my cousin Esme and Juan's, some of my favorite cousins, kitchen, because my kitchen is actually under construction. So I decided to bug them and see if I could bake in their kitchen. I mean, they get a cake out of it after all. So it shouldn't be a problem. But anyway, it's super exciting that T-Mobile is giving away some super awesome prizes this week. One of the prizes is a trip on the MasterChef cruise, which I'm super excited about. We set sail November for the Turks and Caicos, the Bahamas, Puerto Rico. I mean, I've never been, so I'm super excited. We'll also be giving away a trip to LA to visit the MasterChef set and actually meet one of the judges. You'll also be able to win a barbecue grilling set, and you could also redeem this beauty. This is my prized cookbook, Claudia's Cocina, A Taste of Mexico. And between now and 1:59 a.m. Today, you can actually get this book, download it for free, and have it on the go wherever you go. So I hope that you guys will take advantage of that. I'm actually going to be showing you a recipe that is in this book. Again, if you are not familiar with me, I am the most recent winner of MasterChef, the TV show. And this recipe, this beauty, is what we'll be making today. It's going to be a little bit different of a version, but this is definitely it. It's my famous Tres Leches cake. This Tres Leches cake was the one, if you're a fan of MasterChef, was the one that Graham Elliott went, damn, when you pulled out a slice. And so I wanted to share this recipe because, one, it's the most requested recipe, seriously, from like even my closest friends. They're like, so, my birthday's coming up, right? And I'm always just like, yeah, I'd be making like cakes every day if it was the case. But anyway, I'm going to be making this cake and leaving it here for my cousin who let me borrow this awesome kitchen. I wanted to kind of show you what this is all about. So we are going to be making a Tres Leches cake. There's a lot to do. There's several different steps. So let's go ahead and get started. So what I've already got here in this mixer is creamed sugar and butter. So I've got 3 sticks of butter in here, and you've got, this is exactly what it would look like. It's about 2 3/4 cups of granulated sugar, 1/4 cup of packed light brown sugar, and then you put that in there and you allow it to cream. So I've already started that process. Let me get that up. I've already started that process because it does take a little while, and I wanted to obviously speed this up. You guys, I think anybody that knows how to bake or wants to bake knows what creaming is. In this case, one of the things that I did want to point out that is actually something that I definitely do very different than most bakers is that I use a whisk. Most bakers will actually use a spatula. It looks kind of like this, right? And this is great and everything, and I make cakes with it all the time as well. But to be honest, for me, I feel like it aerates the butter and everything so much. It makes it so much fluffier. So what you want to do is 3 sticks of butter, 2 1/2 cups of granulated sugar, 1/4 cup of packed light brown sugar. You toss that in, you get it going, and then once you get it going, you put it on super high, and you let it aerate. You kind of let that go until you get it really nice and fluffy. And it's can we get in a really close shot? I kind of want to show them that it gets super, super fluffy. It's almost, you know, just a texture of like marshmallows almost. So then once you've got that going, one of the things that you need to do is you'll slow it down, and then what you'll do is you'll start to incorporate your eggs one at a time. And you obviously want to do that at a low whisk level, if you will, because you don't want to splash out and all of that. And what you always have to have handy, of course, is your spatula, because you want to continue to kind of scrape the sides of your bowl. So see, it starts to incorporate, and then once it incorporates, then you go on with the next egg. So in this case, I'm going to actually bring this down a little bit and then scrape the bowl. And so what you want to do, and what I always do is a really cool tip, is scrape the side of the bowl and then scrape it against the spatula, so that way you get all of that excess off of your rubber spatula. This is a really big rubber spatula. All right, guys. So let's bring that back up, and then we'll continue with the creaming. What we've got next going on here is we've got 2/3 of a cup. I had to write it down because I'm going so fast that I don't want to forget anything. So 2/3 of a cup of grapeseed oil. We've got 2 tablespoons of vanilla, and then we've got a cup of milk. What I've also been working on over here while this continues to do that, let me add one more egg. All right. What I've got over here already is the dry ingredients. Now the dry ingredients are about 4.5 cups of cake flour, and then you have 3.5 teaspoons of baking powder. You've got 2 teaspoons of kosher salt, and then what you want to do is you want to sift it. So if you have a fancy flour sifter, that's awesome. I learned the old school way, so this is the way I do it. So you pretty much just want to run that through and just make sure that you get it all nice and light. And then anything that you have leftovers, so see, in this case I use kosher salt, but if you look closely, I actually have some kosher salt left in there. I don't want any of that because that's actually going to mess with the texture of my cake. So if that comes out, no big deal. Toss it, it doesn't matter. All right, so let's keep adding eggs. And again, you add them one at a time until they incorporate. And this is actually incorporating much faster than I expected, so we're doing good. One of the things that I do want to add is you add the 2 tablespoons of vanilla in there, and you try to use pure vanilla extract. I feel like it definitely tastes better. If you can only find imitation, that's fine as well. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. All right, so we've got that one incorporated. We're gonna add the 4th egg. Okay, the 5th egg. And just to speed things along, I'm gonna start to drizzle in that grapeseed oil. Grapeseed oil I use specifically because it doesn't impart any flavor. So, you know, sometimes whether you use corn oil or coconut oil or some of the others, you want to be careful because they actually do impart some flavor. And grapeseed oil is actually something really good to cook with. It, you know, goes up to a really high burn heat. So in other words, like you could take it up to 450 degrees and it won't actually burn. It won't burn your food. It won't taste like burnt oil. And so anyway, that's why I like to use it. So it looks like we're getting close. So I wanted to kind of show you, see how the actual eggs have incorporated. There is some, on the sides I have some vanilla, so we definitely want to scrape down this bowl again and, you know, do it as you see it fit. I mean, you know, if you see that stuff's getting kind of on the side and it's not incorporating well, just stop it, scrape it. There's nothing wrong with stopping a million times and starting a million times. If anything, I've probably done that 100 times. I did it in the MasterChef kitchen. All right, so I'm gonna put that up to high, get that going. So then the trick here is once you've got all of this, right? So this is our flour mixture. What we're gonna do is we're gonna alternate. And this is actually a trick that I learned from Cocina. Cocina is one of my favorite chefs. If anything, she taught me how to bake, you know, an incredible amount of beautiful, beautiful pastries. So I wanted to kind of share. So one of the things that she recommends is adding it in batches, right? So in this case, I'm going to add it in 3 batches. This is my first batch. And then we're going to start on super low because we obviously don't want to, let me bring that up. We don't want all of this to fly into our kitchen. I think my cousin would be really mad at me if I had flour all over her kitchen or all over her house. So yeah, you start off slow and then you kind of start to move it a little faster until it incorporates. And so then right about here, what I like to do is I add 1/2 of the cup of whole milk. So you have 1 cup on the side, but you're only gonna add 1/2, right? So you get that going, then you stop it again. We're gonna bring that down. You're gonna add your second third of your flour, of your dry ingredients. Bring that back up. Again, start it super slow so we don't get in trouble. Do we have any questions, Marie? No? Okay. What's that? Oh. I like always put my towels here. It's like a habit. In fact, you know, one of the weirdest things is when I was back in the MasterChef kitchen recently for one of the episodes with the new season, which by the way, you should 100% watch because they recently announced that the winner of season 7 is gonna be on the MasterChef cruise. So I'm super excited about that. All right, so the second half went in. It's pretty, you know, incorporated. So I'm adding the second half of that milk. Okay, again, that was whole milk. Only 1 cup is what you're adding. And then we're getting that started slow so that we again don't splash anywhere. And then we kind of speed it up. All right, now it looks like I need to start scraping this bowl down. And if you start to notice, can you get in, Marie, really quick? So look at how fluffy already that batter looks. And that's exactly what you want. This is gonna be a super fluffy batter. Man, you guys, can't speak, I'm all nervous. You guys got me all nervous. All right, so scraping down that bowl one last time. Probably not the last time, but you know what I mean. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna come in on this side just because I have no space on that other side. Add in that last third of our flour mixture and get that started. So this is actually it for the cake batter. While that's getting incorporated, what I wanted to show you was, let me clean this up a little because I made a disastrous mess with all of that bowl scraping. One of the things that I wanted to show you was the cake pans. These are 9-inch cake pans. You can do an 8-inch cake pan, you can do a 10-inch cake pan, you can do a 6-inch cake pan. What you have to know though is that depending on how large it is, it's obviously going to be a thinner cake in terms of layers. So if you go with a really small cake pan, like a 6-inch, you're going to have a really, really tall cake. It'll also take a longer time to cook through. So I usually like anything between an 8 and a 9-inch, okay? Yes?
Can I substitute oil for another fat, like butter?
There's already 3/6 of butter in there. So I don't know, or do you mean like on the pans? Did you mean on the pans? If you mean on the pans, you can 100% butter this. One of the things that I also like to do, and I'm not doing in this case, is to butter it and then add parchment paper to the bottom because it just kind of comes out. In this case, I like to do the spray, and then I just spray it down, and then of course just flour, just old school. So I'm gonna get these started. I'm gonna have a little. So I just kind of run that over the bottom, and then what I like to do is I like to do this over a little bowl and bring it all the way out to the sides. Can you get in closer this way, Marie, please? I want them to be able to actually see what I'm doing. So then I run that flour all the way through on the sides. And then whatever's left, I just tap it out and voila. Beautiful. Beautifully coated pans. So I'm going to continue to do that. The oven is already set to 350 degrees. It's already been preheated. So make sure that you do that before you even get started. Just turn it on. Honestly, the best thing that you can do for any cake or any baking that you do is to preheat your oven and do it well in advance so that whenever you do actually put it in there, it is actually at 350 degrees or whatever the temperature you need it at. It actually will save you a lot of time in terms of baking. It'll save you a lot of frustration. And to be perfectly honest, you won't get a correct rise out of any bread or any baked good unless you actually have that correct temperature. Trust me, I've made that mistake a million times. All right, so there's número dos. And then let's do the last one. And make sure that you get your whatever fat. If it's butter or if it's, you know, some type of baking spray or cooking spray, make sure that you get it all the way into those edges and corners, because that's exactly where cakes decide to hide and stick. All right, so I'm making a disastrous mess again. Any more questions?
Are there any benefits to separating the flour into portions?
Yes, I think that there is. So one of the logics behind doing that and separating them out into portions, I'm gonna do this over there. I'm telling you, she's gonna be mad at me because of all this flour everywhere. One of the reasons why you want to do that with separating out the portions is specifically because it really helps to make sure that you're not losing all that air. So if you were to just dump in all of that flour, regardless of whether you're using cake flour or whether you're using all-purpose, in this case we use cake flour, and it is definitely a little bit softer mill, and so it's a lot nicer and it lifts a little higher than most like a traditional all-purpose flour. It is really important because then you don't worry about you don't have to worry about having your you know, losing all of that beautiful air that you built on that. Sorry. All right, so let's go ahead and I just scraped down that bowl one last time. I'm gonna start to get ready to put these in here. Like, let me start clearing some of this stuff so you don't have all this craziness. I know this is like a ton of steps, guys, but I promise you, in the end, it is like so worth it. And by the way, I don't even know how I did this in like an hour. It takes about 35 minutes to bake. So you would have it at, again, 350 degrees. Your oven will be at 350 degrees, and you'll bake these cakes for about 35 minutes. All right, so let's get this whisk out. This is my secret for fluffy cakes. All right, so let's bring this out. And then one of the things that I like to do is that I like to take exact portions to each one. So it does take a little longer, but then that also ensures that every single one of your cakes is going to be the exact same size. And you could measure this. I do it kind of just by eye and by knowing that like I've taken roughly about that same amount. So I'm doing it per spatula, right? So one spatula here, one spatula there. This is definitely a little bit thicker than a traditional cake. This isn't like a, you know, like a Duncan Hines or any of those boxed cakes. This is a traditional pound cake. And so it will be a little bit, notice that whenever it bakes. And the reason I do that is because I wanted to make sure that it actually holds up whenever it's in layers. If any of you are familiar with tres leches cake is soaked in 3 milks. And so it needs to be able to hold all of that delicious milk. But in this case, because it's gonna be in layers that are gonna be, you know, stacked one on top of the other, you wanna make sure that they're able to hold that milk and also hold those 3 layers without completely falling apart. So then the fun starts. You get to take out all of your aggression. I think that mom bakers are actually people that really enjoy letting their aggression out. So yeah, you want to stamp these down. Make sure to hit them really hard. Don't be afraid. What you want to do, and you'll notice, is there'll be little air bubbles that come out. I know we just spent a ton of time putting air into this batch, but you want to make sure to kind of get those out of there. So you're doing it real hard. And then these are gonna go straight into the oven. In this case, I'm making 2 cakes, so I'm gonna bring them over. Maria, you wanna come over? So I'm gonna just go ahead and drop those in there. And then close it up. Again, we're at 350 degrees, so we're all set there. We're gonna drop them in for 35 minutes. Now, one of the things that I already did to prepare for this is I already did bake the 3 cakes. This is what they're gonna come out looking like. I flip them over immediately after coming out. I do that because I want them to be even layers. And so now we're gonna get to the fun part, which is, of course, getting them ready for frosting, which is the yummy part. All right. I'm gonna introduce you guys. Come here, please. Come here. I'm gonna introduce you guys to my sister. My sister's here helping me out, and I'm gonna actually put you to work right now. Oh. This is my sister Lulu, and can you help me wash this so that we can get started on frosting? So what I'm gonna do, yeah.
Karen wants to know if it's okay to lick the whisk.
It is 100% okay to lick the whisk. Are you kidding? I think that's the best part. So one of the things that I wanted to go through was the filling. So what we're gonna fill this with is bananas. Oh, that one's kind of funky looking. We're gonna fill it with bananas and with strawberries. So I brought some of each, and all you wanna do is make just even slices. Those are just going everywhere, aren't they? Ah! Stay, banana, stay! Don't go! It's like, don't eat me! Alright, so I'm just going to drop them into this bowl here. And so I've already actually chopped up some strawberries, but I did want to show you how I got those strawberry slices kind of perfectly even. Let me just chop up this banana. And again, this is the only reason why I'm showing you this and why I didn't want to do this ahead of time. Usually I'll do this ahead of time is because honestly, you guys, I wanted you guys to have, you know, beautiful bananas instead of dark, ugly kind of bananas in this cake. So chop up some bananas. I usually do 1 to 2. It depends on how much fruit you want in your cake. In my case, I love fruit, so I'm gonna add a ton of it. Got some extra strawberries over here. So let me actually show you. Wipe this down a little. I love my knife. Sentoku's my favorite.
Hey, what's your favorite recipe from your new book?
Oh, that's hard, you guys. Favorite recipe for my new book. That's hard. Probably, maybe one that you guys haven't seen on there is the aguachile recipe. I know I've probably talked about it a million times, but aguachile is like something that my family is like super, super big on. We use it for Father's Day and birthdays and things like that, and it's pretty much like a spicy shrimp ceviche, so I'm like super, super all about it. So aguachile is probably my favorite personally, but just in terms of creativity and things like that, I'm really, really, really a big fan of the café de olla flan. It's like delicious. It's like a Mexican coffee flan. It's yummy. It's actually pretty sinful because it's nothing about it is healthy, but it's so delicious. So anyway, wanted to show you how you get these awesome little slices of strawberry. So what I start off with is I chop off that end of that strawberry, right? And then what I do is I lay it flat on that cut side so that now it's stable, so it's not gonna move. If you try to do this, if you try to slice here, or if you, for example, cut this off still and did this, this is gonna be moving around everywhere, and you don't wanna do that. You don't wanna hurt yourself or any of that. So get it down on that flat side and then just slice. And you can determine whether you want really thick slices, really like, you know, thick slices. It really is up to you. But see, pretty perfect slices. And then you just kind of put them off to the side and prep. And, you know, even if you have leftovers after the cake, I mean, those can go on like ice cream. You can totally freeze them. I mean, it's not a big deal. So anyway, just wanted to show you those. Just get those out of the way. All right. So then, where is that thing? See? The magic of having an awesome sister. All right, so let me put this in place. So let's get started on this frosting. Now, the frosting may be one of the best parts of this cake. And honestly, I really think that this is one of the kind of game changers. Traditional tres leches comes with like a regular chantilly cream. So it's like very light and airy and fluffy. And so you have like this fluffy wet cake with like a very fluffy and very light frosting, which is wonderful. But in this case, since it's a denser cake and since it's a stacked cake, I wanted something that would really stand up but provide a punch. Because you have such sweetness, one of them is a sweetened condensed milk, I knew that there was going to be a lot of sweetness there. So one of the things I did, or a couple of the things that I did to counterbalance that was, I don't know if you noticed, but we added a lot of salt to that cake. The cake in itself is sweet, but it's not overly sweet. It's not like a regular traditional white cake. This is more like a semi-sweet salty cake, so that when you add that milk soak, it's just going to be beautiful. So then on top of that, what I did was I made a cream cheese, lemon buttercream frosting. So it's gonna be, you know, very rich, but yet at the same time providing a really awesome punch because of that lemon juice and that lime zest. So let's get you an idea of what that looks like. So what you're gonna start with, and let me get that paddle. In this one, I do use the paddle.
And Claudia, Elizabeth Lockwood apparently is going to be going on your MasterChef cruise. She's really excited. She wants to know if you'll be actually cooking for them too.
I will be cooking, you guys. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I have to tell you a couple of things. One of the reasons why I decided to also show you this cake was because I wanted to show you one of my cakes that's an old school goodie now, because I'm actually going to be showcasing a new cake on the MasterChef cruise. I'm going to be making you all this amazing new recipe that I came out with, which is a guava cake. So I'm so excited about that. If you are not already, you know, coming on the MasterChef cruise, make sure you go to masterchefcruise.com to find out more information or enter to win on the T-Mobile Tuesdays app. It's available for download, and you can enter to win through the end of the day today, and you can win a trip for 2 people. You'll get round trip flights, you'll get, you know, this amazing cruise, you'll get to taste my awesome guava cake. So yeah, definitely do that. All right, so let's get started on this, what is it called? Frosting. So I've got 3 sticks of butter. There we go again with the 3 sticks of butter. You swore I was Paula Deen today or something. But you go in with the 3 sticks of butter, and then you're actually gonna go in with like 8 ounces or what is 1 stick of cream cheese. Now, if you want to add more cream cheese, by all means do so. In my case, I actually do like to add a little more. You don't have to do this. The 8 ounces is perfectly fine. But in this case, I'm adding just a little more because I am going to be making 2 cakes. I'm actually going to be making two batches of this. So yeah, good time. So go ahead and drop that in and then get that started in terms of creaming and getting whipped up. So you start at a low speed, and then you're progressively going to get it going a little higher. And I'm using a paddle this time. Definitely using a paddle this time. And the reason why I use a paddle is because I want to be able to break up that cream cheese. The cream cheese is a little denser. And in this case, I don't necessarily need to completely aerate it. I want to break it up. And so I need that kind of smoothing of the paddle against that. So then what we've got is, I actually need vanilla extract. Like, what did I do with it? Yeah, totally lost it. Good times. All right, so here I've got 2 pounds. 2 pounds. 2 pounds of confectioner sugar, which is powdered sugar essentially. So then I'm gonna add, this is what I was looking for, some vanilla. This is again pure vanilla extract, and I'm adding 1 teaspoon. So I want to make sure I didn't lie to you guys, because I was like, I know it's 1 teaspoon, but I just want to make sure. Because I know some of you are sticklers out there. You're like, well, you put 1.5, and it really only said 1. I promise you it won't make a difference that much. It makes a difference in terms of flavor, but if you add a little more or a little less, it's not that serious. Now you're going to add the juice of 1 lemon, and you're also going to be adding the zest of 1 lemon. So you're going to take a microplane, which looks kind of like this, get a lemon, pull all that zest off, and I like to mix it, honestly. It makes it easier. It makes sure that like all of your zest kind of doesn't stick to the, I mean, some of it's still sticking, but you know, it makes it easier to kind of just pour in there. So then I pour that in. Ooh, let's slow that down. We don't want the splashes. Okay. So then we get that incorporated. And then you bring that down, and you're gonna put this in batches again. Oh, the batches. So in this case, I'm gonna actually do it again in 3 parts. I don't know, I'm actually not a fan of odd numbers, but in this case it works. So I'm gonna add it in 3 batches. And again, start super slow, because as with flour, this stuff can go everywhere. So start super slow and then increase speed as you go. See, did you see that? Was it too, that didn't happen. I'm trying to speed things up so you're not getting bored of me. All right, we bring that down. You get the 2nd, 3rd in there. And again, this is 2 pounds of confectioner sugar. And I also sifted this, by the way. It does help to sift it. It breaks up and it makes sure that you don't have any like thick granules in there, which can have a hard time, you know, kind of blending out.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Ashley wants to know what's the benefit of adding lemon zest to a recipe versus adding lemon juice?
So yes, that's a great question actually. Ashley, was it? Ashley asked why, you know, what's the benefit of adding lemon zest? Lemon zest actually adds a sense of aroma, plus it doesn't add all of that acidity. So you can add the flavor of lemon and infuse it in there without it having to be too acidic or too salt, you know, like just too bitter almost. You don't want it to change your flavor. You want it to add flavor, which is why I still added the, you know, the juice of one lemon. But it adds like kind of just that aroma. I mean, I wish you could smell this. But it's so aromatic and it's just so nice and light. So I'm gonna bring this down and, oh, I've gotta wipe this down. Give me one quick second. Should've got another spatula. All right, so let's scrape down that bowl again. And again, what I try to do is scrape down and then scrape my spatula against the spatula that's in there so that I can get as much of it off, and so I'm not, you know, taking a ton on my rubber spat. All right, cool.
Alyssa Perez just won your book on T-Mobile Tuesday, and she loves it.
Yay!
She wants to know which recipe you would recommend she tries first.
Well, this is actually a really, really good question because I actually wrote the book with beginners in mind, because I know that there's a lot of fans that aren't even close to Mexico, have never had Mexican food, or maybe are just used to working with the ingredients. So the way that I set up the book was you start off with the basics, kind of the way I learned how to cook. So you'll start off making tortillas, you know, boiling beans, things as simple as that really could be staples even in your home. So yes, I'm super glad you downloaded your book. For all of you that haven't, make sure that you download the T-Mobile app for your chance to win, you know, the MasterChef cruise, this grill set. I mean, I personally, as a MasterChef fan myself, would have loved to have gotten the chance to actually go on the set to meet one of the judges. I mean, I've met them all three now, but you know, or well, all two. But I would have loved that. I seriously would have loved that. Okay, so third one goes in, third batch of the, I should get smaller bowls. Note to self. All right, so third amount of sugar goes in. I went a little fast on that one. See, I'm making a mess. All right, let's clean up. But in all seriousness, it's super important to put that in the 3 different batches. That way you're not, you know, wasting anything. While that continues to aerate and incorporate, I'm gonna push that up a little higher, and I apologize if it gets really loud. But what I did want to show you next was how we get the tres leches. Now, the reason why it's tres leches is because there are literally 3 milks. So you get 1 cup of whole milk, 1 can of evaporated milk, and then you'll get 1 cup or 1 can of these kind of small sweetened condensed milks. So it literally is 3 different types of milk. Oh yeah, that's the good stuff. Hey, my whisk is too big. Just kidding. Just kidding. There is no such thing as a big whisk. This thing's amazing. I love it. It's one of my favorite things in the world. I got it for like a birthday or something. So anyway, you whisk that until it's incorporated. And the reason why is, of course, that sweet condensed milk is like a super, super thick texture. So you want to make sure that you whisk it together with the other milks. And so then you have this amazing stuff. Now, I do want to actually mention this because a couple of people who have made this have been like, well, this is like too much liquid for the cake. And if you're saying that we're only going to like add a little bit on top, then why is it so much liquid? The thing is, I love this stuff so I can drink it. I'm just kidding. But yeah, you're going to want to. Once you taste this stuff, it is seriously liquid gold. You will want to put it in your coffee. I mean, it is seriously so delicious. So make sure that you try it whenever you make it. Got bananas everywhere, strawberries. I have a mess, you guys. I'm sorry. This is the way I work, but I'm trying to work really quick. All right. So there it is. It's all set and ready to go.
Hey, Claudia.
Yeah.
How can you ensure
What?
How can you ensure a crisp bottom and a moist center?
A crisp bottom and a moist center in the cake?
Yeah.
The cake is actually already a pound cake, so if I actually show you this, it's hard. It's an actual pound cake. So it's going to be crisp already because the recipe that I made it specifically so that it would be able to stand with being kind of, if you will, on layers. And when you have layers like that, if your cake doesn't have the correct structure, it won't stand, right? So in this case, you can see that, I mean, I can pick these up. Normal cake you would not be able to do that with. They're really nice and crispy. Now, the center is completely moist. I can show you it. I mean, I'm pressing down on that. It's a beautiful pound cake. It will 100% absorb everything. And that's exactly what I'm about to show you next. So this looks like it's good. And I'm going to turn that down just so that it isn't going crazy in the background while we do this. So what I wanted to show you next was the fact that I actually do level these out. You can cut off the little crust on the outside because it is, I don't know if you guys can hear that. Can you come in closer? It is a pretty crisp side. So if you actually want a very moist cake and you don't want any crispiness or any texture, you can 100% cut all of that off. That's not a problem. Do a crumb coat on the outside. If you're an experienced baker, you know exactly what I'm talking about. For anyone at home like me that's just baking for family and you know, it's like we don't really care what it looks like so long as it's amazing. I would not even waste a piece of this cake, honestly. Although I will say that if you do end up cutting off these sides, don't waste them. Crumble them up, put them back in the oven, and then use them as a crumb topping on top. Amazing. Okay, so then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to start to cut off the top, the dome top. You will have a little bit of a dome with this recipe, which is 100% expected, fine, and I want you to have that dome. That means that you got all kinds of beautiful air in there. All right, so that's what you want. You want to cut off that top. Again, do not waste this. This is delicious. All right, so what you're gonna do is you can either use a basting brush. In my case, I'm going to actually use a spoon. Let's just hope that that doesn't go in there. What you want to do is, and this is 100% typical to do, you want to get a fork and with its tines, go through the whole cake. And what this does is, I know that it's already super aerated, but this is going to just give it a lot more room for all of that delicious milk soak to go into. So you go through and you do all the little fork tines in there. And you can kind of tell where it's like already starting to fall apart if you put too many fork stabbings in there. And then what you do is you just start putting that milk soak over it. Now you will probably get through about 1/3 of this milk juice. If you are like 100% familiar with Tres Leches and you 100% like the super soaked cake, you can 100% make this cake in like a 13x9 pan and soak this overnight. I mean, you can totally do that. But this cake is specifically made so that you can actually stack it. So just know that. It won't be the texture of a traditional Tres Leches, but if you really like that super soaked kind of cake, super soaker, I have like ADD today, I don't know. If you really like that, that super soaked cake, then 100% you can leave it overnight and soaking and all of that, that's all good. In my case, once it starts to, and can you get in close, Marie, please? Once it starts to, you see that? It's like I can push it and you can actually see that it's already moist on that top layer. That's enough for me. I've never been a really big fan of the super soaked Tres Leches where it's like oozing out. So this is definitely what I want. So for me, that's ready to go. So since that's ready to go and my frosting is ready to go, I'm actually gonna get started on this build.
Alyssa wants to know if that's the apron you wore during MasterChef.
It is, you guys. They sent me all of my aprons and everything. That was like the most awesome thing. I like got a package and I was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. It was seriously so much fun. So, yes. All right, so I'm gonna put this on a little cake thing so that I can move it around and all of that. I don't have a cake stand. I wasn't raised like that. We were, I was raised actually very humbly. So we put it on a plate sometimes and worked it off a plate. So Please do not feel like, oh, I have to have a cake stand because I need to be able to twirl it. No, make a cake however you feel like. If it's ugly, honestly, who cares? If it's delicious and you made it with love, that is seriously what matters more. All right, here we are. So this is the, I want to just like, yes, yeah, You guys, that sounds so good. So this is the frosting, and so one of the things that I do is I'll throw some frosting in the middle, and then I will kind of swirl that all around. Okay, so my cake is moving a little bit, so I'm gonna add a little dab down there just so that my cake doesn't move. Okay? So then I'm gonna just spread out kind of a sort of thin layer, but not really a thin layer of frosting. And I think it's a little generous. And then what you want to do is you want to go in with all that fruit. Now, one of the things that I will warn you about, especially if you are going to stack like I am, is that you must make sure that there is enough space between the fruit and the outside, because once you put that second layer of cake on, it's going to try to squish it all out. I promise you. Tried it and totally happened. All right, so we're going to keep adding bananas. And then after the bananas, we're gonna go through, like I feel like I'm taking forever. Any questions?
Yes.
Yes.
Who is your favorite MasterChef winner besides yourself?
That's a great question. I think honestly it's Christine Ha. That's funny. I'm actually not my favorite. Just kidding. I'm not myself. I'm just kidding. No, I really actually love Christine Ha. I think that her story is just so inspiring. She's such an incredible human being. I had the pleasure of hanging out with her and Luca, which also is an amazing person. I got the pleasure of working with them and hanging out with them whenever we did the celebrity championship, and we went up against the kids, against the juniors, which was so much fun. If you didn't watch that, I'm sure it's like on Hulu or something. But it was so much fun, and Christine was just like so talented. Like, I think that whenever you love cooking, and it just shows, and it's innate for her. Like I don't know. It's like, I think that the fact that she is missing one sense, which is of course the sense of sight, if you're not familiar with her, for her to be blind and still be able to cook incredible food without really even it's like without trying almost. I think that that's incredible. So anyway, that's definitely who's my favorite is. All right, going on with the second. And so you do want to push down a little bit. And remember how I mentioned that it was super important to make sure that you don't go far out. So when you push this down, you see how that starts to come out? So that is super important. I mentioned it earlier. That's exactly why I mentioned it. I didn't want any of your fruit coming out. I'm going to cut off that top layer again here. And this one doesn't have as big of a dome, but it still has a dome. So I want to make sure to even that out. And of course, what you're doing as well is opening up the cake for all that amazing tres leches. All right, we're gonna keep going with the milk soak. And so I think you guys get the idea, right? So you repeat all the way till you get to the top. The top layer also gets milk soak. And then what you wanna do is just give it a crumb coat, put it in the fridge, and then decorate, of course. But the crumb coat, what that means, if you're not familiar with baking, it means pretty much that you're gonna put one layer of frosting on the cake on the outside so that it picks up all of those crumbs and it kind of gets them stuck. So that, you know how sometimes if you start to frost a cake too early, some of the frosting, like the crumbs come off while you're slicing, like you're feeling all like Picasso, you're like, yeah, and then it's like crumbs, what? That's why, because you didn't give it a crumb coat and let it cool down. So the really, really cool thing to do, and what bakers do to solve that problem is you give your cake a crumb coat, and then you put it in the fridge, let it hang out, and then make sure that oh my gosh, this looks so good, I want it.
How long do you let the cake cool before you ice it?
Before you ice it. In this case, these cakes were out there for about 25 to 30 minutes. They are a pound cake, so you want to make sure to give it enough time so that it does have you know, the opportunity to completely be cooled before you start adding any frosting, any fruit, because if otherwise your frosting will melt. And I think we saw that with one of the contestants on our show when he was like making a Picasso like transformation of of art. All right, so again, go here. One of the things that I also wanted to mention, I'm doing this by eye because I've done it so many times. But one of the cool things that you can do is, for example, you know that you're going to be making 3 layers, right? And you know that you're going to need a crumb coat, and you know that you're still going to need an outer coat. So one of the things that I recommend is that you consider all of those things whenever you are actually about to frost your cake. So that you don't run out of frosting, split up your cake frosting into portions so that whenever you are actually, you know, frosting, you know that I have this portion to make this work. And then you aren't stuck without, or you know, without it, or with too much in the middle, or in one layer, there's more than the other. In this case, I've done it so many times that it doesn't matter. But I did want to kind of mention that because it really is super, super helpful whenever you are, you know, kind of learning and this isn't perhaps something that you've done before. Maybe you've never done a layer cake before. I will say, you know, it's definitely something that a lot of people are scared to do. You shouldn't be. This is super easy, and especially with this kind of fail-safe type recipe, you'll be golden. It'll be wonderful.
How many days does the cake keep in the refrigerator?
So this has a lot of butter and cream. So I would honestly say no more than maybe 2 to 3 days. Just because the bananas also start to kind of go funky. You know, even though they're going to be in here, they will start to darken a little bit. There is some acidity in that frosting, so, you know, it will keep a little bit. But honestly, I would be surprised if 3 days go by and you still have this in your fridge. I honestly would be super surprised. I did want to mention, a couple of people have asked before whether you can add fruit to the top. I never do. In Mexican cakes, I feel like we always hide the fruit. Like the fruit's always like the surprise in the middle. But you can 100% do whatever you like. If you want to put like all kinds of tropical fruits on top, by all means, please definitely do that. Sorry, my sister's like asking me to look at something. Okay. Got it. All right. So this is, again, layer 2. I am loving this. So I'm going to go ahead and put this 3rd layer on, pushing down gently. And see what I mean about getting them out too far? They'll start to poke out, and you don't want that, because when you put on that crumb coat, you want it to make sure that it's, you know, that it's all even and pretty, and you don't have like a banana going, hey, I'm in here, because it's supposed to be a surprise, right? All right, so I'm going to cut off that last top, and now this is definitely something super important that is definitely more of a professional's tip. But if, for example, right now I can tell that my cake is just slightly higher on this side, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut in deeper on this side. So this is your opportunity to level it out, right? Take advantage of, you know, of your knife skills and just run that knife through, and don't cut off as much where you don't need to, right? So that looks a little better. I'm still gonna even it out even a little more. And if it doesn't seem even, just kind of like evenly go across, and you'll be able to see where it, like it'll only cut where it's a little higher. All right, I wanna just make sure. I think we're good, just a little off this side. It's like shaving, guys. All right.
Your cousin Esme and Juan are both watching, and they both are so excited they get to eat this cake.
Yes! I wonder if they've told their kids, though. They're going to come home and be like, oh my gosh, it's a tres leches cake.
Luis
right.
wants you to say hi to his daughter, Isabella. She loves you.
Hi, Louise. Hi, Isabella. Hope to see you on the MasterChef cruise. Louise, did you get a chance to download the book? The book is online on the T-Mobile app for free. You know what I was thinking was, I wonder if Mr. Leches, CEO of T-Mobile, would want one of these. I'm like, I know this isn't slow cooker Sunday type meal, but I'm sure he'd want to make some cake. I mean, this is a pretty, I know there's lots of steps, but it's fairly easy. I mean, did anyone think that this was like really hard? No?
Ashley wants to know what inspired you to audition for MasterChef.
What inspired me to audition? I have no idea. I'm just kidding. Well, you guys, if you've been watching, you met my sister a little while earlier, Lulu, who is holding up a bunch of cue cards for me right now, so I don't forget to say something. But she was actually having a conversation with me the morning of the audition. She was like, "So you're really not going, huh? Like, really? You're just not even gonna try?" And I was just like, "Well, I mean, you know, I can't go. Like, who's gonna take care of my daughter and who's gonna pay my bills? I have like nothing, you know." And she was just like, "So really, you're just not even gonna try?" And that's like literally the way she talks, by the way. I'm not like making that up. Like, that is literally, she's like laughing over there, but she's like literally, she's like, "Really? So you're just not even gonna try?" And you know, I was just like, "No, I mean, I can't do this." And I went into my room. Tell me if I'm lying. Can you switch the camera so I'm like, it was I went into my room and I like laid in there for like another 45 minutes. And I was just like, "Dad, that's it, fine, I'm gonna go." And I got up and I went to Trader Joe's that morning, bought everything for 3 cheese tortellini and an Asiago cream sauce, went to the auditions, and I was VIP'd. And it was like amazing. Like I still can't believe it. I mean, I keep that blue dress because I consider it like my lucky blue dress. But you know, that and the fact that I think I've always loved cooking. So yeah, I've always loved cooking. So you know, I hope that through my book and through everything, like, I inspire you guys to go after your dreams and, you know, and cook and be super proud of where you come from. You know, I've gotten a lot of slack for, you know, only cooking Mexican, which, whatever. Honestly, I'm super proud of where I come from. I'm super proud to be able to represent Latinos all over the world who are doing incredible things and to be able to share some of the flavors that so many of us love. I mean, honestly, if you can say you don't like Mexican food, we can't be friends. Mexican food, I feel, is like one of those foods and cuisines that people just love. So anyway, enough of that. Let's go ahead and finish up this cake. I'm not gonna frost it all the way on the top. Let me just really quick. I grabbed my hair. I don't want this to be a red frosting. Just kidding. Maybe. Actually, that might be a good idea. I'm gonna go ahead and add more and more of this frosting to the top. Now, see how much is left in there? Again, this is just me knowing how much I needed to use in between those layers. You can totally measure it out, not a big deal. In this case, I'm gonna make an exposed cake just because I don't have, you know, the 4-hour TV show to show you guys, you know, the refrigeration and all that, and there is no movie magic. This is actually live. This is why I've messed up a million times. But I hope you guys have had fun. So I just want to show you how I'm going to finish this off because I brought some pretty awesome edible flowers that we're going to garnish this with. You know, you can garnish this with whatever favorite flowers, your favorite fruit. It doesn't matter, you guys. This is all up to you. And it's just up to whatever you like to do and what you like to eat. And, oh, yeah. That looks terrible. So I'm just going to kind of run my spatula back and forth just to kind of give it a little fluffy cloud-like texture. You get it? Claudia. I'm just kidding. All right. So there's that. I have some beautiful pink flowers. I know I should have used red, but I feel like red hair, red. And I'm just gonna place those carefully there. And you can place them however you'd like. You want to put a little bunch in the middle, that's all cool too. I actually dreamt of this last night. I don't know what it is with me and dreaming of things. I'm like, I dreamt of this, but I really did.
Antonia says hi from Iceland.
Oh my goodness. Hi, Antonia. Hi, Iceland. Thank you for watching. Thank you for everything. Thank you to all my fans, by the way. You guys have been incredible. Like, everywhere I go, I'm like in an airport and they're like, "Oh my God, are you Claudia from MasterChef?" You guys are like seriously the best. You make this life just the most incredible thing that I just could never have imagined, could never have expected. It's been incredible. I'm gonna drop these extra strawberries. Remember the strawberries that I said you should never toss if you have them? I'm gonna just drop those on there. Create just like this pretty, as you can tell, I'm not even trying. Honestly, you guys, like it's just about it being yummy and delicious.
Francis would like to know where you get edible flowers.
Oh, well, we are very lucky in San Diego. We have tons of farms in San Diego. So I'm actually very lucky to get them. One of the things that I recommend some people do is find out which edible flowers you like, and then really just kind of play with them. Or plant them yourself. Make an organic garden yourself. I just started a whole organic garden in my house with a bunch of chilies and stuff. And so yeah, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to plant and get out there. And my favorites are what are they called? Marigolds. I also wanted to share that I like to break these up a lot. And I cheated a little because I did it without you watching, but I'm going to show you guys. So I grab all these petals, and then you kind of pinch at the bulb, and then pull slightly, and it comes right out, right? And so then you've got all these pretty ones, and then all you do is break them off, and then sprinkle. And so then it just becomes like this pretty, like, beautiful garden.
Thomas says that he's totally getting your cookbook and going on the MasterChef cruise.
Yay! Hey, Thomas! Can't wait! If you guys haven't heard yet, or are just tuning in, I'm Claudia. I'm from MasterChef. I'm the season 6 winner, and I am showing how to make my famous Tres Leches cake. This is a 3 milks cake, including condensed milk, evaporated milk, strawberries, and bananas. So if you are a fan of cakes, this is definitely one to try. I'm doing this as as just an opportunity to be able to share my kitchen with you. And I hope that if you've been watching, you've picked up on the fact that we're doing this awesome thing with T-Mobile today. MasterChef has teamed up with T-Mobile. For T-Mobile Tuesdays, we are going to be giving away, well, they, we're going to be giving away some amazing prizes, including a trip on the MasterChef cruise, which, by the way, is for 2 people. You get round trip airfare. You have until tonight to enter. You can win a copy of my cookbook, Claudia's Cocina, Taste of Mexico. Shameless plug. But yeah, you can totally win a copy of my book. You can win a grilling set, a MasterChef grilling set. You can win a trip to go to Los Angeles, go on to a live taping of MasterChef, and actually meet one of the judges. So I mean, I don't know about you, but I think that's super awesome. So hope you make this. Hope you check out my book and download it today. It's only available for free through the end of today. Share with your friends, share with your family. It's 100% free. So make sure you download T-Mobile Tuesdays. It is an app, and you download it and you save it and all of that good stuff. If you want to find out more about the MasterChef Cruise, make sure you go to masterchefcruise.com for more information. masterchefcruise.com for more info. Make sure that you book your tickets today before it sails out. One more thing. I want to share something. This is my handle for Twitter, Snapchat, Facebook, what else? Instagram. This is literally my handle for all of them. Follow me. I'd love to hear your feedback. Tag me in your pictures whenever you do make one, an awesome recipe out of this cookbook. If you try to make this cake, please show me. It is like one of the most, I have chills saying this. It is one of the most awesome things to be able to see you guys really like showing me like, dude, I made your fish tacos. They were awesome. I've never made something so good. So please tag me whenever you do that. I'd love to see your pictures. Make sure that you stay tuned. That's where I always post. I try to post everywhere, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. But make sure that you're following Chef Claudia's Cocina for any updates on where I'll be. I'll be going to Chicago, New York, San Francisco, Houston, Portland, Miami. Anywhere else, publicist? Yes, so those are all the cities that I'll be going to here shortly, within like the next 2 months. So if you're in one of those cities, make sure that you stay tuned for actual locations, times, meet and greets, book signings, all of that. I'd really love to meet you. I'd love to hear about your failures, about your, oh man, this didn't come out because of this, everything. Share it with me. I'd love to hear it. And I hope to see you at one of these awesome events. And more than anything, I hope to see you in the Caribbean, because I'll be like, mimosa. Oh, and the Turks and Caicos. So yeah, I hope to see you there. And let me just take this really quick. I want to say that's my publicist, Marie, And that is my awesome social media digital strategist and my sister. Bye.
Your mom says save her a piece.
Aw, yes, ma'am.